Welcome everyone to this episode of Notes with Jack. My name is Alan Fox. I think this is episode 19, I think.
Man,
And I'm here with the only person I know, regardless of age, that uses Marco Polo, the messaging tool, and his name is Jack O'Brien.
why is that unusual? I love Marco Polo.
Yeah, I'm curious about that, man. Talk to me. Like, how did you start using Marco Polo?
I'm trying to remember. I mean, Lily Raab and I are like almost every day.
Yeah.
Sarah Oglibi, I do that with her. Why do I do it? I don't. Ethan Hawke and I do it occasionally. The great thing about it is well, it's limiting too. The great thing about it is you can say something, get something across, and they can deal with it when they have time. They don't have to answer right away. You know, that's kind of good. So that's cool. Yeah. You're out of focus.
Well, it sounds like, yeah, I don't know, you're a little blurry. It's gonna fix through the recording. It sounds like I need to be on Marco Polo is what I'm hearing. That maybe I'm the one that's being. Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
That'd be so helpful.
Yeah, because we don't see each other and talk to each other enough. So I should probably make sure I get Marco Polo. Anyways, so how you doing today, man? What's going on? How you feeling?
I'm doing really great. I'm really great. I mean, I'm very, how do I say, there's nothing wood to knock here, being Irish. There, I did it.
Yeah.
I'm not sick a lot. Fortunately, I'm not a sickly person. And I was quite ill for quite some time. And maybe this bears witness because I was coughing a lot. Remember, I think I've coughed online a lot.
Yeah.
I found out I had walking pneumonia, which, by the way, I wanted to look up and see what the hell walking pneumonia is. But I'm out of it now. I'm totally fine, and I'm now feeling myself again. I'm very happy. I'm very happy.
Yeah. Good. Well, that's probably something to do with you've been getting some rest this month, I know, in Connecticut, which probably has helped with the walking pneumonia and stuff.
Yeah, I think it has. I really, it has. I'm not very good being idle. I'm not very good not being at work. And I'm not. I don't think that's a good thing, by the way, necessarily. Right. I think you have to learn how to be by yourself and be quiet and all those things that are natural, and not be nervous about it. But I'm happiest when I'm plugged in.
Yeah.
Aren't you?
Okay. Yeah, I'm a wreck when I'm not working. Like, honestly, the most unhappiest times of my life is when I don't have a specific project to focus on or, to be working on, or at least to be ambitiously pursuing. When I'm in this, because the past month, I finished something like a month ago, as you know. And so I've been in kind of no man's land aside from, speaking to you and kind of doing stuff like this. So it's like, it's interesting because I do think you need that gestation period before you get back on the horse. I mean, I personally, as your friend, felt like I was glad you had the month of July off because I saw how much sort of shucked and then traveling, and like it took a lot out of you traveling and doing all that. And so this little window of time I think is really helpful to heal and also kind of get reacquainted with what comes next, because so easily if you go from one thing to the next, it's almost like having to get a running start to get ready versus like taking your time being ready so you can walk right into the Sound of Music ready to go. But I don't want to get to the Sound of Music yet. I want to get to something else.
Okay.
If that's all right. Today, man, I wanted to do a special kind of episode because, as we've started making this podcast more public now, there's a really interesting conversation, I think, to be had about mentors and mentees and what that is and what that looks like. And you are someone that as a little bit of preface, I have had people that I would consider different types of mentors in my life, right? And you're someone that when I hear your story, yours have been more in one type of thing, but I've heard you speak about three men in particular that were very formative in your life. And so I'd love to do like a deep dive, not only about them, but the process of you being your relation to them and how that worked and what you learned. And we'll just free will from there. But
can I
tell me about these guys? Yeah,
Wait, before we do, can we do a prologue on this? Because the mentors that we're going to talk about, I think, if I'm not being coy, I understand who that is.
Yeah.
All are related to my work as a director in the theater or as a person who spent his life in the theater. Yeah. They all did too.
Yeah.
And I need to say one thing about you and me and my generation. and this generation may be the very last of these people who experienced this. I grew up with radio, not television, not the internet, not images.
Right.
When I was in those crucial years, 9, 10, 11 into 12, prepubic years when I was by myself in my bedroom, playing with my toys, whatever I was doing.
Yeah.
I very often listened to the radio. There were radio serials on, and one of the most famous was Sergeant Preston and Yukon King, where they were up in Alaska with his dog, which of course I loved, and this Mountie who was doing stuff, and the dog helped.
Yeah.
I have to say, Alan, I have images, or I recall, or think I have images in my head, more rich, more varied, more remarkable than anything I've ever seen on television or in film. In other words, the radio turned on my imagination.
Yeah.
And in a way that there were no instructions. There was no handbook. There was nobody making choices.
Yeah.
I just imagined a world out there that matched the voices that were coming through the radio. And I went on this journey.
Yeah.
And I think men and women of my age did. And because there was no one teaching us what it should look like or what choices we had available, we had infinite choices available. And so I come up to this threshold about mentoring with a full expectancy and an unqualified vocabulary I don't even know what to do with.
How do you mean? Because I have a couple thoughts. Based off the radio, because I think that's a really interesting concept. And it's funny because even though I grew up with television, obviously, most of my memories when I'm younger are by myself, either playing basketball or like thinking about. Most of the memories, I don't have that very many memories about being younger, honestly, but the ones that I do have, most of them are because I think my version of fantasy was I'm in the gym by myself, or I'm outside on the concrete thing shooting baskets by myself. And it's more, that was my version, I think, of playing with toys, or and I'm sure at 10 or 11, I was, I used to do magic tricks by myself for hours. Like that was because I was real cool, obviously. But but
I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, I say that to say though that like I know what you're saying, man, about the power of that. But I think you're right about radio is a really interesting concept, because now I find myself enjoying, I mean, not just podcasts because we're making one, but I'm saying like I find now actually getting a lot more fulfillment out of not seeing images. I kind of like hearing things and or reading things. I guess it kind of speaks to that too. It's almost like a book.
Yeah, you're alone in your mind with a voice.
Yeah.
And there's a dialogue and a sense going on there, but you're the editor. You're the person who's putting the pictures together in your head.
Yeah.
And they may not have anything to do with reality.
Yeah.
So in an odd way, I was ripe for a métier that would allow me to continue that, or to make manifest myself images that I had played around in my head. So many young directors now are intimidated or even frightened to do a big gesture, to do a big stage, to think about an opera. How big is it? I grew up working with a lot of actors.
Yeah. Yeah.
With Shakespeare and early in my life, I staging a war, which I did when I did Henry IV at Lincoln Center. I done it at the Globe originally, not that production. I mean, I had no problem with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of people, if there are more than 2 or 3 people in front of them, they don't know what to do with them. And I've seen that myself on Broadway. Admired productions with really wonderful actors on stage. I'm not mentioning any names.
Yeah.
Badly staged.
Yeah.
because they're not staged at all. In other words, they're just left there.
Yeah. Well,
And
let's start from that place, because I feel like maybe if I'm connecting your dots correctly, was John, so your first sort of mentor, was it John Huntsman or was it Ellis Raab? Which was the first one?
Ellis Raab.
It was first Ellis. And
I
so
mean,
so what you're saying about the radio a little bit is like that primes you to be the kind of person that is going to be drawn to creating art or images, it makes you the kind of director. If you can trace it all the way back, maybe that's what lights that spark, right?
well, I guess what I'm saying is the imprimatur of early accents on your mind
Yeah.
must have to have something to do with the kind of human being or artist. If not, that's not too coy a thing you become.
Yeah.
And so there's Ellis, the first person to captivate me, the first person to arrest me,
Yeah.
the first person I thought, wait a minute, what's that? How do I get to do that?
Yeah.
Is Ellis Raab. I'm at
Yeah.
the University of Michigan. I'm in my first year of graduate studies. I'm already being on the stage. I've acted. I've sung. I'm available. I'm obviously being drawn to performing, to this whole métier. And I sit down in front of a stage and at the Lydia Mendelssohn Theater on the opening night of Ellis's production of The School for Scandal with Rosemary Harris and Will Geer and Enid Markey and all these extraordinary people. And oh my God, I mean, it's not what I'm used to. It is funny and sexy and contemporary and it's beautifully staged. Everything is unfolding in the most romantic and witty way. And I'm thinking, oh, that's how you do it. So I became obsessed with him and the company. And I was a nuisance. I hung out.
Now, you had been, hold on, not to cut you off, you had been doing, like you said, you'd been writing, you'd been acting at that point, you've been doing a lot of stuff. You were always a performer. But at this point, did you know, I want to be or was this like, I'm looking for, because one thing I want to get into as we talk about this is like, do you find this person? Does this person find you? Do you need each other? Like, how do these dynamics work? And so what I want to ask is, do you feel like you were looking for, were you in the phase of, I'd like to be a director's apprentice? Or were you in the phase of suddenly this thing caught your eye and you're like, oh man, maybe that's what I actually have been trying to do?
As I'm having trouble answering this cogently and smartly.
It's okay. Yeah.
The first thing that occurs to me is he arrested me.
Mm-hmm.
My curiosity.
Yeah.
All my pores were open. All my systems were working because I had sat in my bedroom and listened to radio and made images in my head. So I had a certain amount of personal investment that I was thinking, this is fun for me to do. And then I see somebody else do it better than I've ever seen it before.
Right.
And in a way that speaks to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not intellectual, I promise you.
Yeah.
It is emotional.
Yeah.
And the way that he conceives a play, the way he chooses to present his imagination,
right,
sort of clicks with mine. And I think, wow, wouldn't that be cool to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so funny, at least in my experience, when you see that, you suddenly go, oh, they must know the secret. But what I'll say is, and this will move through it, right? It's like, I love this quote. I think it's like from some of the King Arthur literature or whatever, but like they talk about how like every knight has to enter the forest at their own place. It's like they can't show you how to get there. It's like he had to become Ellis by going through what Ellis had to go through to become that type of director.
Listen, I get requests all the time from young men and women saying, how do I become a director?
Yeah.
I sat at a table with a lovely Asian girl just last weekend up in Michigan, who's been making films, and she picked up my second book, how to What is my second book? Oh, Jack in the Box.
Yeah,
Or How
which
to Get
everyone else can pick up too at noteswithjack.com. That's a plug.
Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh
Right.
Jackie. Anyway, she read the book and she found it helpful
Yeah.
because I'm talking about how to deal with actors, and
Yeah.
she's not being taught that. And
Yeah.
this is a young woman who's starting, by the way, at entry level, but doing all the right moves. She's going to
Yeah.
make movies. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
And she's across the table from me, and she says to me, "I've got to thank you." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, I found your book really helpful." And I thought, the book doesn't even begin to address all that.
Yeah.
The book is almost an apology for
Yeah.
why I turned out the way I turned out. Well, it is
Yeah.
because it's, I'm like a moth attracted to flame. These personalities, these people enter my life, and I want to get close to them, and I
Right.
want to plumb the magic of their mystery and say, how do I get to do that? Can I make any of that applicable here?
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is there's a big absence right now
Yeah.
and it has to do with communication, and it has to do with a skill set that I've done my entire life because
Yeah.
of these people who
Yeah.
I saw do it beautifully.
What do you think Ellis, not so we don't get too far off Ellis, what do you think he saw in you?
He didn't like me very much.
That guy must have, honestly, I've never actually heard anyone say that about you. So that's
He said
that's
it.
unique.
I think he found me irritating and pushy.
I think it's probably
and I-
because you showed him something about himself in you that he had lost or was angry about. Or I
I'm
think
not-
that's always why people irritate us.
I'm certainly not going there. But
So then
but
how
no,
did you end up, how did you develop that relationship?
I hung out, man. I hung out.
Yeah.
I showed up. I was there. I threw parties for them, for the company. I became friends with the other actors in the company. I don't
You
actually
were working it from all angles.
all angles. And so when
Yeah.
these young men and women say to me, "How do I do it?" I say the path I took is overgrown now. It doesn't even exist. There is
Yeah.
no way to do that. But I'm saying to you, the best way to be a professional of anything is be in the room with the best person you know who can do it better than anybody else, and
Yeah.
watch them do it.
Yeah.
Be
and that,
be there where in the room where it happens. That wonderful thing from Hamilton.
yeah.
I was in the room where it happened.
I think what's really important too is something that you just said, because I feel like I've learned a lot of the lessons I've learned aren't just what someone, the people I've been lucky enough to be in rooms with. It's rarely what they tell me. It's usually watching for better or worse what they're doing. And that's something that I find, because like I'm curious, like what was the transition from Ellis to John Houseman? Because that was your next big stepping stone, right?
That was a different situation altogether.
Okay.
Let me also say on the last thought you had is yes, but also the privilege is watching them fail.
Yeah.
Watching somebody really good take a chance and no, it doesn't work. It isn't happening. And then you think, what would I have done?
Yeah.
Would I have seen that? Would I have made that choice?
Yeah.
So it's not just collecting medals.
Yeah.
It's the privilege of being close to someone when they heave their soul forward to please or to create, and then it doesn't quite work.
Yeah. Did that ever happen with Ellis? Does something stand out in your mind where you saw that happen with Ellis?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I'm trying to think back because he said very often tried to do things that other people thought he should do that he couldn't pull off. But but he was pretty magical.
Yeah.
He was pretty consistent. He had the stick in his hand. He knew how to turn himself on and make it work for other people, which is very, very important. You can't just do it to please people. You have to please yourself. And you have to think, wait, shut up. I know what to do. Listen to me, even if you don't say it as grossly as that. That's really what you're saying, is please let me do this and tell me if it doesn't feel better or look better to you. Okay. So So then John Houseman, who was a legend, and John Houseman was he had directed Ellis at the American Shakespeare Festival in Stratford, Connecticut. They had a whole company when Ellis was just out of college.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the actors. Houseman was producing and occasionally directing. John was a much better producer, I think, than he was a director. But he had that ability to pull people together and make people pay attention. And but what John gave me is approbation. John, I was always tagging after Elle and hoping Ellis would give me a chance. And in that sense, I was his child. And, you know, you're very hard on your own kids. You very often don't give them the credit. You give the kid down the block. Yeah. And so Ellis was not going to give me a show.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Quickly, just because I want to ask this question. Your father passed away when you were 18.
Yeah.
Did you feel like the Ellis relationship, because if he came into your life around college, it's like it's only a couple years difference. Do you feel like he was in some way coming in and filling a bit of a void that left, or a bit like, was there a different dynamic there, or do you now see similarities in that dynamic?
You mean, was he a father figure to me?
Yeah, or like more than a figure even, like did he possess some of the qualities that maybe you were familiar with you, and it's like, oh, that's why because like you said, something in him, because, you know, not to be Yoga Booga, but something in him lit you up, right? And usually that's a familiarity thing. I find like oftentimes in life, the more people we meet, the longer we go, it's because they feel familiar to the patterns we started in the past.
Well, look at you. Look at us. Yeah. I mean, you toddled forward, basically, if I'm not mistaken, as a basketball player. I first sort of. Yeah. I know, but what I'm saying is, as you were toddling forward as a young kid, one of the things that started to happen is you started to play really good basketball, and there was a kind of an identity there that was forming. Oh my God, there's Alan. He can really play basketball. He knows. He even grows up with Seth Curry, and they're commensurate peers, and they even played together and played opposite each other. And then we know what happened to Seth Curry. What happened to Alan? Yeah. Well, what happened to Alan happened to Jack.
He started a podcast with Jack.
Well, he ended up in the in a heap here. No, but what I'm saying is, we start self-identifying. So, and you know, somehow I should find a way to go here. I'm going to go to the University of Michigan, and I don't know, I'll be a lawyer, because they talk a lot. Right. And I talk a lot, and they're sort of theatrical. I was clearly already into the theater in that respect. So I thought, how do I legitimize that? That my father dies, and there's silence. There's nobody. I don't have anybody to talk to. I don't have anybody to say, how's it going in pre-law?
Yeah.
And this magical man appears before me with a dazzling array of toys, none of which I've seen before. And I drop everything and say, put me in, coach. Yeah. This is what I want to do. Now, then we get into financial trouble. The company, we're trying to play, there's a Ford Foundation grant that we're trying to apply for. As the APA Ellis's company. I'm the only assistant they have. I wandered in the corner. I drive the car. I walk the dog. I order groceries. I do flat work. Whatever you need, I do. Right? Yeah. And even I'm his rehearsal cover. Which means when he's directing, he needs somebody on the stage who will emulate his moves so he can continue to direct. I volunteered to do this. He asks me at a party I've given, would I be his, for nothing, not going to pay me, would I be his rehearsal cover? Yes, I said. The part is the vagabond in the tavern, a hilarious satire that George M. Cohan wrote, in which this very romantic, poetic, crazy man appears in the middle of a storm and captivates everybody. Perfect for Elle. I'm a little squat, Midwestern kid. He's this leonine, gorgeous kind of dramatic guy with a neck. I never had a neck. I don't have one now. And so I learned, first day of rehearsal, I'm off book. It's an endless part.
Yeah.
The vagabond comes on the stage. What a night! What a glorious night! What a wonderful to be alive on a night like this! I mean, he's shouting at the top of his head. There's Nancy Marchand with her script. There's Clayton Corzat. There are all these people doing their blocking, and this young kid is acting his heart out. And Nancy Marchand takes a cigarette out of her mouth, and she says, "Al, is he going to do that?" I mean, I was impossible.
Sure.
But I emulated it. I watched him, and I replicated every single thing he did. Every line reading, every pause.
Yeah.
So we apply for that's tangential, but we apply for, the company applies for a big amount of money to move the company from off Broadway to Broadway, and we don't get the grant.
Okay.
And I'm touring with Ellis. I'm in Greece on a vacation tour, carrying the luggage, of course.
Sure.
And following him around.
Sure.
And we're having lunch, and we're in a little place in Greece in the country, and we hear Raab, Mr. Raab, and this man is walking down the desk. Mr. Raab. I said, are they saying Raab? This person, whoever this person was, there was a transatlantic call for Ellis.
Okay.
They found us in Greece. Ellis goes to answer the phone. We've lost the grant. We have to come home. It's over. We're going to go to Ann Arbor for a season and disband. On the way back, Ellis and I stop in Paris, where John Houseman is living.
Okay.
Because John is an experienced, legendary father figure.
Yeah.
Ellis has to turn to somebody. What do I do? Houseman says, I'll come in on the board for a while. I'll help you.
Right.
And John got involved in the next couple of seasons and helped T. Edward Hambleton and everybody else raise money and focus, and brought Ellis's great part of Pantagles by Michel de Gelder, wrote a playwright none of us knew anything about, but Houseman, as a European, did know, and that was one of Ellis's great hits.
Yeah.
John saw me.
Yeah.
And validated me. John saw that I was talented. John saw that I was ready. John Houseman manipulated the schedule in such a way to give me a play of my own, just to be done in Ann Arbor, knowing full well that something would fall out of the rep. And John gave me my Broadway debut with Cockadoodle Dandy.
What do you think? First off, what an amazing story, right? And what
great?
a sort of like, it's interesting, man, because I always love, when I listen to people's stories, I love the moments, I call them like nodal points. I love the point where it's almost like one person who's been, holding your hand, walking you through the life, passes you off to someone else, and it becomes like, it's almost like their season of playing that role in your life is coming to a close. And it's really interesting, like, because I'm a kid that did magic tricks by himself for long periods of time when I was little. It's like, I like to go back through people's stories and find those moments, like the nodal points where like your life from one person to the next takes a turn. What do you think it is about you that John saw and or related to and or understood?
I think John saw that I responsibly had learned Ellis's lessons.
Right.
That John saw that I wasn't just echoing.
Yeah.
I wasn't just replicating.
Yeah.
I understood what Ellis was doing. And so Ellis goes away when I first am hired.
Yeah.
And for the weekend with some friends, and I'm to watch the shows at the East 74th Street Theater. And I said, should I give notes? And he said, well. And I said, don't you think you should tell him that I'm going to give notes? And he looked at me and he said, when it's time for you to give notes, they'll know.
Hmm.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
So I go to the theater. I see the play. The actors go out for a drink afterward. We're sitting in a booth. They're talking about the evening's performance. And Dorothy D. Victor, who's playing one of the parts, turns to me and said, well, you saw it. What did you think? What did you think?
They knew. They could feel it.
And I responded. And late that night, after she was in her cups, of course, she sends a message to me to say, and the following, I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
Your notes are arrows piercing clouds. In other words,
Wow.
thank you. That was helpful.
Yeah.
So,
man, what a great thing to get, this scary moment. You finally get to get, or not, maybe not scary, but your first chance to do something like that. And suddenly you get that validation. How great is that?
I hit the target. Right.
Yeah.
And so Houseman recognized that.
Yeah.
And then he gave me that opportunity. Ellis, who had stumbled and fell at the end of this whole situation and came up, believe me, decided to play Hamlet, talk about shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
Ellis saw me take responsibility, do the Irish play extremely well.
Yeah.
Ellis gets a call from his best friend, Bill Ball, on the other coast. And Bill says, come out and do The Importance of Being Earnest for my company.
Yeah.
And Ellis says, Bill, we've done these plays. We should let other people. Jack should do that. And he passes me on to Bill Ball.
Wow.
And that's how I get to the West Coast. And that's how I start working in San Francisco.
Yeah. So talk to me about how, because one thing I want to go, before we get off John Houseman. Houseman. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. You have one of the most amazing stories that I've ever heard about when you let Houseman act at the Globe. Once you can we fast forward a little bit through where you're sort of going through Houseman, like what do you learn? And then when we get to the end of that, like, can we talk about that moment? Because that's actually one of when you had to fire him from the play is one of the.
I fired Ellis, not John Houseman.
Oh, I thought you fired. Oh, okay, okay.
Even worse.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't know that. I'm sorry. Okay.
The late Edmund White called that a sort of Greek moment in my life.
It is. Well, let's go to that because so I don't want to fast forward just because of time. I'm trying to figure out how to do all this. But so Ellis has in many ways been the person you've imitated.
This will be a two-part. This would be a two-part.
I was getting ready to say. I was just looking at the time and I was like, well, it's already 33 minutes. But if you want to keep talking, we'll just keep talking.
Well, or we could wrap this up and do the other part and another part if you want to.
Yeah,
we can do whatever we want to.
Yeah, that's true. No one's listening.
No one cares. No, exactly. We're only entertaining each other. For all I know, we are.
Yeah, don't worry. Let's wrap up with Ellis then. So you ultimately go. So you just to quickly go through it for people listening. Ellis gives you this start from the beginning. This is the person that he's like the first gatekeeper that allows you into this world and helps give you this. And he hands you off to different people, but he's, you're still there. Your career moves on, and I don't know what year it is, but you're at the Globe, at the old Globe, which you ran for a long time and everything, but you're putting up a play and you cast Ellis in it. And I'll let you take it from there because it's one of the, like you said, most Greek stories I've ever heard.
Well, it's a jump cut to the end, but there's in the intermediary area there, Ellis, I become the secondary art director.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of, I give notes on other people's shows and I put other actors in and I learned a great deal. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Ellis introduces me to Craig Knoll. We all go out in 1969 with Richard Easton, who comes over from England. Ellis is going to direct Richard Easton and Seda Thompson as the Macbeths. Richard Easton is going to direct himself in Julius Caesar as Brutus. And we should do a comedy. There must be let's do what's my first comedy? God, the Shakespeare with
Comedy of Errors.
Comedy Bears. Let's do Comedy Bears. Oh, let Jack do that.
Yeah.
So they throw me a sop, and I become part of that company, and eventually Craig Knoll and I are running the globe together.
Yeah.
Ellis, we've separated. I'm no longer working. APA is disbanded. He's won a great victory on Broadway with his revival of The Royal Family, which gets him a Tony. The one Tony he won. Rosemary's in it. George Grizzard is in it. Extraordinary people are in it. Sam Levine, all sorts of people. I go to see it. I run through. I give notes to Ellis. We're really, really close.
Yeah.
Ellis also was bipolar, untreated, and had a real problem with alcohol and was drinking a great deal.
Did you see all of that through the years with him, or was that something that came later?
It got worse as it went along.
Sure.
As success found him, he found he was more and more indulgent, and we were more and more enabling, all of us, and we didn't know what else what to do about that. Yeah. So eventually, there's a problem there, and he's very often not showing up for work, or he's very often quitting and decides he's going to do a play and then says he's not going to do the play. So there's some problems. Yeah. His father dies. He makes a journey out to California, to San Francisco and LA to see all of his friends. And I'm casting Pygmalion, which I was supposed to do at ACT, but we lost the rights. So now that I'm running my own theater, I can at last do that production of Pygmalion with Barbara Dirickson, who's the leading lady up at the ACT at the time. She can come down and do it. How wonderful. We don't have a Higgins. I don't have a leading man. Ellis goes to San Francisco and sees Barbara and Ben Moore, to whom she's married at the time. Then he comes out and spends time with us. He's sober.
Yeah.
He's deeply affected by his father's death.
How old is he at the time? Like, is he in his 60s maybe? Like,
no, let me see. We were 9 years difference, so I would be in my early 40s, so he's 50-ish.
Okay, so you'd known him for 20 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just wonderful. He's warm, he's helpful, he's L. He's just the best. Yeah. Best. He goes home. I call Barbara and Ben and I say, "How was your visit?" They said, "He's great." I said, "Shouldn't he play Higgins?" And we said, "Absolutely, what a wonderful thing to do." So and he is, by the way, there are such a thing as a Shavian actor. Yeah. Actors who can do Shaw. Yeah. Because you need energy, you need technique. Yeah. Huge paragraphs, highly intellectual material that you have to sort of make real. He's one of the few that can do it. Yeah. So I call him and offer the part. He's very moved. He's going to do it in the fall. We're ready to go. The spring goes on. The summer goes on. Ellis goes up to Williamstown, and the word comes back, he's drinking again. Oh, dear. Yeah. He shows up at the Globe, and I think it's probably, I don't know why I'm saying this, I think it's November. And he comes into my house with various other members of the company. Right. And he looks at me and he says, "Where's the vodka?" And I said, "Under the sink." And he went and got the vodka bottle. I didn't say anything about it. A lot of us went out to dinner together. Ellis stayed there at my house, and drank. Yeah. And so it began. Yeah. And you've cast him by this point, right? Like he's playing Higgins. We're starting rehearsals.
Got it.
We would start at 11 o'clock in the morning. He would be sober. Yeah. And we would break for lunch around 1:30. He and some of the company members would go over to the garden restaurant at the museum next door. He'd have a couple glasses of wine. I used to say, what is a couple glasses of wine? Sonoma County. But he would come back half in the bag. Yeah. And the afternoon would be screwed. Now, by the way, during these rehearsals, when he's half in the bag, he's also brilliant.
Yeah.
He's petulant. He's
Yeah.
spoiled. He's a very interesting idea of Higgins. He's doing really well, except
Yeah.
he never learns it.
Yeah.
Never learns the lines.
What's it like trying to, 20 years on with this person that you idolized? What is it like you seeing that version of him doing that after you've given him this opportunity? Do you
Well, how
remember?
would you? This is a small thing. How would you feel as I was falling apart here on the camera, and we're supposed to go ahead and do this?
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just curious
mean,
what that must have felt like.
It feels terrible, and you don't know. You're not empowered to do anything about it.
Yeah.
You've been an enabler all your life.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
poured the drinks. You've seen him be hilarious. You played piano for him when he
Yeah.
decided he wanted to do a club act. No, you're
Yeah.
not the disciplinarian. You're just not.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you start to feel any guilt about the past 20 years leading up to that, about being that role? I
Mostly
know
I
I
felt,
have in life. Yeah.
mostly I felt terrible about what are we going to do with this play.
The consummate professional.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I'm kidding.
how
Right.
what's going to happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
I get James Winker, who's playing Freddie Eynsford Hill, to cover Ellis.
Mm.
And I asked him, will you do this? And he said, it's a part I would really love to play. If you'll pay attention to me, yes, I will do it. And he learned it. And so in technical rehearsals, Ellis is out a couple times. And Winker goes in and is fine, has covers.
Yeah.
We open with Ellis on the stage. He does not get any of the lines right, but he manages something, and as usual gets Valentine reviews because he's a kind of star.
Yeah. Yeah.
I go the next day up to Mammoth Mountain with Tom Hall, my business partner, his wife, bunch of people. We're going skiing. I just want to get out of there.
Yeah.
So we ski for the weekend. I just let the chips fall where they may. I come back to find out that he's played 50% of the shows. And that on Saturday, a friend came to the matinee. He played the matinee. He and the friend went out for drinks. He got so drunk, he did not play the evening.
Right.
The understudy went on. And my leading lady is in tears saying, I just want to know who I'm playing with. I don't care which one it is, but I can't go on like this.
Yeah.
And I've got a real problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I go over to Ellis, where Ellis is staying in the apartment. And I said, I'm replacing you. I said, I love you. You've given me my career and my everything about it. But I have to tell you, you can do anything you want to me, but you cannot insult this theater because I'm the steward of this theater. And as your friend, I'm deeply sorry, and I hate to do this, but as the artistic director, I'm replacing you.
Yeah.
He laughed. He didn't believe it. And I did, in fact, replace him. And he didn't talk to me for a very long time. As a matter of fact, we never made it up. I tried to call him on his birthday years later when it was getting worse.
Yeah.
He would answer the phone. We would have a very cool conversation, but we never made up. And to this day, it hurts me that he's now died and we were estranged.
Yeah.
That's my story.
Man, it's such the first time you told me that story, I said, man, if that's not a rite of passage, I don't know what is. That's a really incredible, incredible story. And
It's Oedipal. It's Oedipal.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Kill your father.
Well, I don't remember because I haven't read the play, but I'm thinking about My Fair Lady. What happens at the end of Pygmalion? Does the thing that he builds end up, because it's kind of Frankenstein and a little bit sort of
In a
mythically.
sense, in the play, the musical is slightly different. In the play, she comes back.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if this is Shaw or Alan Lerner. I think the line is, Eliza, bring me my slippers. And it sort of ends in a détente. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, when they did it at Lincoln Center recently, she walked out of the theater and left, in gesture of defiance. which is not Shaw, but I mean, it was pretty
No.
effective.
It's also, but it's kind of what I was going to say is it's kind of what you did with Ellis, because in some ways he sort of built you in that way. You know what I mean? Like the way that sort of Higgins builds the sort of the Eliza character in that piece is the way that Ellis sort of built you. And so it's sort of, again, I always say the story finds you, not the other way around. It's sort of poetic that you and Ellis would
end
up at that inflection point around that play.
And we did.
Yeah.
Should we stop?
I think we should stop, man. I just wanted to get through that.
Exhausting people.
I know. No, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Man, I really, anyways, I really love that story. And for people that are listening, that's in your book. Like you have a lot of that stuff in your first book.
Yeah, in the first book it is.
Which is really great stuff. And maybe we'll pick up with Houseman sometime, or maybe we won't, man. We'll do whatever we want. But I really just wanted to get into that because I love that story.
There's more of that because there's now, there are the lessons I learned from Craig Noel too, don't you?
Yeah.
I had 3 people who had huge influences on me.
Yeah.
And they didn't cross over. It wasn't the same lesson. I was given. That's why I keep saying I think I'm one of the luckiest people who ever lived, because I was handed personally, person to person, through the exact right people who gave me the lessons I needed.
Yeah.
And I was smart enough to get the lessons.
Yeah. I think we all get those opportunities, and the difference is, are we smart enough to get those lessons? I think
right.
we, in our own ways, with whatever our version of the theater is, I think we're handed the opportunity to learn from someone, both when they succeed and when they fail, like you said, because I think a lot of it is learning from that failure and who we idolize as well. But all right, Jack. Well, look, let's wrap it up there.
Thank you for letting me to express this. I mean, it's a rare opportunity one gets to suddenly say, "This happened." And that's a very generous thing for you to do to me. Thank you.
Well, I think it's really important that we part of my hope with this podcast was like, how do we help the future understand why it's important to remember the past? And it's not because of necessarily the details that happened. It's the lessons that can then be applied to different details. So it's like everyone is going to have that version of, I mean, in my own life, I've had my own version of needing to fire Ellis. And it's been some of the most difficult. Not the act of it is almost not as difficult as all the tension and anxiety leading up to the act of it. You know, whether it's like I need to disconnect from someone, or I need to, confront someone that has been someone I've looked up to. It's like and for me, it's happened at every threshold of what I've done in life. And that's why I call it like a rite of passage. It's like it's almost that way of like you said, it's like in some ways you got to kill your father if you're ever going to become a man. And sort of that's why the Greeks write about it.
Are you planning to fire me from this podcast?
No, man. Honestly, you want to know the absolute truth? When we first started this, I was terrified that something like that was going to happen. But man, you are so good, and we're pals. And like, I don't think it's that, man. I think we're as much pals as we are anything else. So
I do too.
I'm very grateful for it. So
me too.
All right, man. Well, look, on that note, let's wrap up.
Disgusting. It's a disgusting way to finish this.
Yeah, no, it's great, man. It's great. If people listen this long, they deserve it. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We will pick back up next week, and we're about to get into the sound of music. We'll have some more fun next week. And yes, so thank you for listening, everyone. Love you, Jack, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.